Are you considering selling your home and want to know what's involved in a home inspection or the executor of an estate? Well, we're going to tell you all about it, and we're getting started right after this. Hey everybody, I'm Kes Stadler, Associate Broker and affectionately known as the Singing Realtor with Atlanta Communities, and I'm also the owner of Probate Real Estate Trust Help. We can give you everything that you need to know whether you're a homeowner looking to sell or an executor trying to sell an estate. So we're going to get started right now, and I can tell you everything about the process. So let's get going. Okay, first things first, what is a home inspection? Well, with my 25 years experience, I could go on and on about it, but basically it's a chance for a buyer or an investor to look at your home without you, the homeowner, or the executor around. They're going to go from the very top to the very bottom. Obviously, they cover the structure, the foundation, the crawl space. They look at appliances, they look at cosmetics. Not so much that, just cracks in foundation, things along those lines. And they can be very detail oriented, or it can be just a quick walkthrough. And it's a wide variety depending upon who you hire and what you're looking to have done. Okay, a lot of people ask me, when does a home inspection take place? If it is an estate, that can happen once you get a binding contract. So if you hire someone like my team, once we go under contract with a prospective buyer, they usually have 5, 7, 10 days, we call the due diligence period, to do the home inspection. And that's when that normally takes place. They'll have their inspectors come out, do the full inspection, provide a report that's usually 40 to 80 pages depending upon the house, and then you as the buyer would sit down with your agent, or if you don't have an agent, sit down with the listing agent and go over the report. Okay, when it comes to hiring a home inspector, rely heavily, if you can, on the agent, whether you have a buyer agent representing you, or if you're unrepresented and there's a listing agent, the listing agent can give you a list of names and numbers. You want to make sure they're certified, that they have insurance. We call it KBO and ASHI certified. There's a bunch of different acronyms you can put after it, but go with somebody you trust. Someone that has a background in residential construction would be helpful, and someone that stays up to date on all the codes. They need to know what's going on at the moment in real estate as far as codes for decks, for electricity, for plumbing, for roofing, heating and air, you name it. My inspectors that I recommend and use look at the big ticket items. Anything that's going to cost over a couple $100, that's what they're really looking for. When I'm showing a home, I personally look at the big items: roof, heating and air, foundation, plumbing, drainage, things like that. If it's an estate and you're working as the executor and you're going through probate, it may be a little more difficult to do some of that. The home may be full of personal items from the decedent, and so you've got to work around that. It may be that they were semi-hoarding, so it's hard to get in the property. But make sure you hire someone that knows what they're doing, that has a track record, that has insurance, and also has referrals and recommendations. Follow up with them, make sure they're good at what they do. One thing I would do is maybe interview a couple of the home inspectors. Find out how many home inspections they've done. If it's someone I'm recommending, you know they've got a long track record. My favorite home inspector, I've known him almost 20 years. His name is Chuck. And when I first knew him, he had a full head of black hair. Now it's quickly, he's losing it and it's going gray. So that tells you how long he's been doing it. He's got a team under him, and it tells you how long I've been doing it. Got a little bit of the hair receding myself. Okay, what happens during a home inspection and how long does it take? The home inspection normally lasts, like I said earlier, 3 to 5 hours. And what an inspector will do, depending upon the conditions, they normally start outside. They do a full wrap around the house. A lot of inspectors will get up on the roof. Many, because of liability issues, do not get on the roof anymore. If they don't get on the roof, make sure they have a drone so that they can still see the roof. You need to be able to look at the boots on the roof, the chimney, the flashing, everything that goes along with it. And it's hard to do that from the ground. Some can and will use binoculars, but the best is when they get up there in person. Next best would be a drone, and then if it's bad weather or a really steep pitch, they might just have to do visual inspection from the ground. But that's the first thing they're going to do, is a full outside. Then they'll put on some booties and work their way inside. Most of the inspectors have a lot of gadgets. Hey, that's a good movie. From moisture meters to voltmeters, you name it. Gas detectors, they'll get up in the attic. They'll check the gas around the furnaces, all the appliances, make sure there's no gas leaks. They really look at, obviously, any type of water intrusion that might happen. Critters that can come in the house. I'm dealing with one of my listings right now where they had a squirrel problem in the attic. And so they had to hire a company to do an exclusion for the pests, as we call them. And then they come back every quarter to make sure that squirrels, rats, rodents hadn't got back in. So the inspectors are going to look at that full list of things. Most of them have a checklist. And then they provide you with a PDF type file, usually within the day of the inspection or by the next day. And then if you're the executor of an estate, you should get a copy of that, and then you can talk to the other beneficiaries. You can decide if any repairs can be done. In many cases, we just give an allowance at closing and let the buyer do the repairs after closing. That's especially with an estate or in probate, you don't want to be making repairs unless it's an active water leak. Now, if you're a homeowner and you're just selling it to a buyer, they may be very savvy at repairs and want to do it themselves and just take it off the price. I'm dealing with one right now where we found a lot of items that were wrong. So the owners are just giving a credit towards closing costs. So that's a way you can handle the home inspection. So there's a bunch of different ways to draft it. But be willing to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to tackle items. And homeownership comes with maintenance and warranty issues, so be ready to deal with those as well. Most of my buyers and some of my sellers will say, well, what is in an inspection report? And that way you'll know what to look for. I prefer the inspectors that use a format where they fill it out per home. There are forms that some of the larger inspection companies use just a checklist, which is fine when you're doing the inspection, but then the report is just a checklist. So it doesn't give you any explanations. I use a company called Buyer Protection Group and also HouseSmart, and they use a form that is completely fillable, so they can customize it to tell you what's going on. There's nothing worse than to get a report as an executor of an estate or a homeowner or a listing agent, and they just say, there's water intrusion, check yes. But then they don't tell you where, how much. Is it a big deal? Is it minor? Is it gutters? Or is there a foundation crack? So as you're going through this process, on the buying side, make sure that you find out that they use the forms that have pictures too. A lot of the home inspectors do a really good job with pictures nowadays, and then you'll notice when they're doing them, they'll provide the pictures and then they have an arrow. Like if I'm pointing at that clock behind me, it would have an arrow pointing to the actual issue, not just a picture of the house, not just a picture of a leak, but showing you where it's coming from. So those are some of the things you can expect in a report. A few other items that aren't normally covered in a home inspection, but can be an add-on, and many people will do that, is an inspection for radon gas. So you want to, maybe depend upon where you live, what part of the country. Here in Atlanta, radon can be pretty prevalent. 4 percoliters per thousand is the bar that's been set by the government. Above that, you really should have it mitigated. Below that, it's probably not a problem. Termites are really bad in Georgia. The only place worse is Florida. And we have a saying here in Metro Atlanta. I always tell my buyers and my sellers and estate, there are 2 types of homes. Ones with termites and ones that will get termites. So it's just a matter of having a home inspection that has a parent company or a sister company or an agreement with a termite company to come out. I use Northwest and Arrow here in Metro Atlanta, and as part of the home inspection fee for another $50, they'll come out and do what we call a wood infestation report. So they're looking at mold, fungus, termites, powder post beetles, all those things that could be eating on your house and you don't even know it. So that's a sidebar to the home inspection. That's in addition to the normal home inspection. Another thing you can do is a big trend now is they're hiring a plumber. The inspection company has an agreement with, like here, we use Mr. Plumber, and they will run a stake, a camera down the sewer line to clean out and see if there's any blockages. That's a great way to find out if you have tree roots growing through your sewer line, or the old terracotta pipes where they kind of bend and then they get clogged. You don't want to be a homeowner and find out a week after you move in, you go to flush the toilets and you're running the dishwasher and everything backs up. Better to know it ahead of time. From a seller's perspective, we don't like it when they do that because that's the big unknown. It's been buried for 30, 40 years. What are they going to find? But it's just something you have to work with and you have to work through. Then the last thing you could have is if you have a basement or you see some issues with mold. I'm dealing with this right now on one of my listings. It seems to be Georgia's pretty sticky. You can have a mold test. That's separate from a radon. So you could have a home inspection, termite inspection, mold inspection, radon inspection, and then obviously a plumbing inspection for and then if you get into issues, you can have foundation contractors come out, whatever you need. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. That's just a highlight. I just touched on some basics. As you can tell, there's a lot that goes into it. If you're the executor of estates or of an estate, you definitely want to have someone that's inspecting it, and you may want to even say, I want to see their credentials, because you don't want somebody, Joe's home inspection, that's done 2 of them. Because once the inspection's done, if they're licensed and insured, you really as a homeowner or the executor of an estate should report that if the deal doesn't work out. You need to disclose it. Like I was saying right now, the mold in the basement of one of my listings, what we're doing is we're working it out with the buyer. If not, we have to disclose that to a future buyer. And it may have what we call the black mold, Stachybotrys. So you really got to watch out for that. As you can tell, I have a lot of knowledge, not only in real estate, not just real estate, but in marketing, negotiating contracts, but also construction. I find that a lot of my clients don't really know how to change a light bulb, anything more than that. They're good at computers, they're good at this and that, but they don't understand how a home works and how construction works, and that's where I can come in and help. My team and I are well trained, we're up to date on all our continuing ed, so we can help you through the whole process. And on the listing side, or executor side, if you're working with probate, we can tell you what's fair, what might be something you need to fix, and what is overkill or is way overpriced. So I'll quit rambling. Thanks for staying tuned and watching my channel. Be sure to subscribe and like the channel. Share it with your friends. If you need a recommendation for a home inspector or several, I usually give out 4, or a foundation inspection or framing. If you're buying new construction, you want to get it inspected twice. I'll do another video on that. So like, subscribe my channel. Stay tuned for the next one. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And as always, thanks again for tuning in. Signing out now, the Singing Realtor. La da da da. People tell me I should sing more. So have a great day. We'll take care and talk to you soon.